Hi guys, I'm Not a Myth Productions, and once again I am back with Chantal.
Hi.
Today we're going to be talking about your campaign, Liminal Place.
Yes.
Which is another campaign I was so lucky to be in.
Right.
Because I was Heather, the bully.
Yes.
And I've talked a little bit about Heather and the Liminal Place on other side of the table, but I really want to go into this with you because you really know how to set a tone and an atmosphere to your games.
Mm-hmm.
But first, give us a quick introduction into Liminal Place, which originally started as a one-shot that then got turned into a larger campaign with more people brought in.
Right. So I always had this idea of creating an 80s setting story that basically characters can come in and out of without it having too much consequence to the plot, and there would be this overarching mystery as to why this world was created and how are these basically high school teens keep falling into this world. And it all started because of a one-shot, because unfortunately Shelby wasn't able to make a certain session of Carousel.
I rolled very low on the con save that morning.
Yeah, so because she didn't make it, I played with Jaren and Brandon and said, hey, basically, do you mind if I just throw something all together on the fly, improv?
Mm-hmm.
And they played two high schoolers, a bully and the journalism club president, that went to a portal that was found in the back of a video game store and were flung basically into this fantasy world. Jaren's character got stuck in that world and unfortunately remained there for probably 20 plus years, maybe, or infinity.
I think farther. That boy was scarred.
And then I was able to introduce new characters that were basically going back into that world to rescue the character Peter.
It's a very Breakfast Club moment because I think three of us were established bullies.
Yeah.
I was a gothic bully. Brandon was a very classical bully.
Right.
We had another character who was kind of like that weird Halloween kid kind of bully.
Yeah.
And then we had the nerd, which happens to be Goblin number 1 behind the camera.
We had the male cheerleader.
We had the male cheerleader, which was our jock.
Yes.
And then we had our band nerd.
Yeah.
And then we had the Barnacle, which was Jaren's character.
Yes.
Which was the assistant to the bullies.
So he then had to create a new character basically because they were rescuing his first player character.
Which turned out being so fun to witness what happened to his previous character as he's playing as an opposite character.
Right.
And they were kind of at odds towards the end a little bit there.
It's kind of like Robin Williams in Jumanji that he got stuck in that world because it was by an accident. I didn't realize that Jaren was going to roll and create a completely new character. When he already did that, I was like, oh, that's actually funny. That means that your first character was stuck in there this whole time. So even like Jaren making that decision actually impacted my campaign tremendously.
Oh, yeah.
But you're right, it was Breakfast Club.
It was very Breakfast Club, but with that, every single session was in a different world.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we were in something very space and galaxy. The first one was very fantasy. And of course we had our transformation moments, which made it all the more fun. But you had to do so many inspirations and build so many separate worlds. What was your inspiration behind each world?
Yeah.
And then how were you able to balance all of that at once?
I think just like this Breakfast Club of high school teens, what I told the players is you're going to create a character archetype like the jock or the nerd or the bully or the goth. Mm-hmm. You're going to be flung into this fantasy world that could be fantasy one session, but sci-fi in the next one. And one, like for the dark fantasy story, it was very Labyrinth and The Last Unicorn, very 80s dark fantasy. One episode was very sci-fi, like Terminator and Tron, and then another episode had dinosaurs and barbarians, like the Bakshi movie Fire and Ice. And then there was one where they fought all these Karate Kid animals.
Yes.
And then I said, even though they're playing humans, they can basically transform into these character archetypes, which is like your character, Raven, who was Heather, or Raven, who was able to transform into like this Medusa snake-like
very Elvira-coded wizard, but wanted the snake hair and everything, and she really played up the Elvira moments. Yeah, is how I put it.
And basically, they're entering into each of these worlds, and going into the next one each session. So it didn't matter if like really some player couldn't make it that day because in the next episode they'll be in another world, and then they were picking up clues over time that there was this overarching mystery to how did they get into this world and why was this world created. And that's when I also, halfway through the campaign, introduced another NPC, which was Andy Marconi.
Oh, poor Andy.
Yeah. Who was almost like a blonde cheerleader who was basically, they found in this world and thought that she was a typical high school girl from their time, but she was actually from 4 years prior, and because of an illness she had, her father had actually use the power of the liminal place to stick her in this world so that it could prolong her life. And they were picking up clues here and there. There was like a ICD-10 code that like they were slowly getting the letters up to discover what her diagnosis was. They were picking up clues that she wasn't really quite like one of them. And then I wanted them to just overall finally get to the prom and then fight the big monster that's basically the one that's using Andy to fuel this world and to trap our players in this world.
With that, you do something better than I do, even though you call me your D&D bot.
No.
No. There's something you do much better than me, which is setting the atmosphere even outside of the theater of the mind. So for a lot of you guys that are in D&D as a DM or a player, a lot of our stuff is theater of the mind, use your imagination. There are some very well-versed DMs, like Chantal, who brings it outside with decorations, food. You even had physical, like you made the journal that we found from Peter, which was very unsettling to see how he was slowly descending into madness.
Like imagine like the notes and scribblings of a madman that they find,
So let's break down the different things that you do. So for example, food. You make so much good food.
Right.
And then when we went to the schoolyard, we were eating legit
PB&J sandwiches, it was dino nuggets. Yeah.
There was legit school lunches that we were all having a nostalgia with. But even then, when we did the fantasy one, there was different types of food. There's been other games I've been with you where you've got whole cookbooks to learn from. We did the Alien one.
Aliens, I bought the Alien Xenomorph cookbook and made all these alien themed food.
I love them so much.
Yeah, well, I like cooking. So one of the things I like to do for my players is cook something that's a little bit on theme. And all this is to create the more immersion into the world.
It goes so well because it gets me in the mood for the game, especially when I'm okay, it's going to be the 80s. There's 80s food, fantastic. We had the pizza. Remember one time we made a joke about deep dish pizza in Chicago, and you literally brought
I drove an hour down the riverside to pick up Chicago deep dish pizza
just for this one thing that would have immersed us more into what we were doing. Also your decorations. You heavily decorate your board, including I never even thought to decorate my whole DM screen. There was you'd ripped out VHS tape and scattered
I didn't know it was cellophane. I cut it. And I did it. And look, everyone thought that I ripped out a VHS cellophane tape. No. It was black cellophane. Anything that. So even if you're not a cook or someone that's musically inclined, as a DM, you can always decorate your little DM screen with little props that can make them think about what the theme of this session will be.
It does help because I think there were times we were looking to see if there was a hint to what, cause especially having miniature hints across the DM screen, we'd all be staring what's on there, what's happening,
or
who are we fighting today?
A candle that's themed. I think the candle scent was called Hellscape, and you were like, no, what is that? Why?
God, I remember that because Chantal does this lovely thing where there's just always a candle burning, just to it smell. I thought it was to smell good. No, we started learning to start looking at what the candle said to tell us how bad things were gonna get.
Yeah, shout out Cantrip Candles in Los Angeles. They have a lot of themed Dungeons and Dragons candles.
It works to scare your players thoroughly. It smells great, terrified the entire time. Another thing you do is hoggle. Let's talk about that little nightmare creature that we all really wanted.
That seemed to be one of the favorite NPCs because even you used Haggle as an NPC later on.
Bring Haggle back later.
I wanted to be Labyrinth, so having a hand puppet that's the fire gang in Labyrinth. So I had the little eyes on the hand, and basically it's almost like a DM insert because he's talking to the players, but sometimes he breaks the fourth wall and he doesn't want you to look behind his rock or the NPC screen because once you do, he becomes a giant hand monster that would just try to destroy the players.
He also had the most annoying voice. He would pick on us all the time and insult us all the time. Because he was this little gesture that would pop up in points of our story to be are you doing a good job?
Yeah, he would break into different worlds often and I think mess with you guys sometimes.
Yeah, he was and then the day we fought him, he brought out the little sticky hand things.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I think another thing that I try to do to create more immersion is really set the tone with music. I think a lot of DMs need to get more onto this music. You can get on Spotify, just create a playlist with good background music for your games. But on this game specifically, I stuck to 80s songs.
That's what you picked up from, because you learned from me and Jaren as a DM.
Yeah.
Jaren, we're both DMs.
Yeah.
And he does music all the time as well.
Right.
I've never gotten incorporated music because for me, I get distracted and I get a little mixed up. Because I'm trying to make sure the music's playing on time. Yeah. How do you, craft your playlist for each one? And then do you do research into each songs, or how is it?
I do a lot of times. So One of the things when I'm brainstorming campaigns and sessions is literally on my drive to work, I put on a Spotify playlist and curate what sound is going to be at each of the story beats. You were more of I think you like writing, and you tend to write your campaigns like novels. You would say that, right? I see things more as screenplays. So I'm also thinking in terms of music as, okay, what song would be playing at this scene, what song would be playing at this scene. And then sometimes also the lyrics of the song may change what I want to happen in the session. I'm also one to create like Spotify playlists for all my characters that I play. So sometimes even the lyrics of some of those songs will influence some of their backstories.
That's very good. I will try to start inserting more music.
Get on it. Yeah.
I'll try it. I gotta learn.
Yeah.
I found it helped during my pirate campaign. I tried it because I saw you were doing it a lot. So I was like, let me.
Yeah.
And it did end up working. I did a lot of just Jack Sparrow music
right.
for my battle scenes.
Think of your favorite movies and video games and how much the soundtrack, really plays into why you love those media.
Let's talk about the biggest night, the finale night.
Mm-hmm.
Prom night was the most immersive. We actually all came physically dressed up as our characters. We figured out what they what really helped pick out my outfit though is that you did a bunch of art, and we had like movie trailers between each session to tell us what was coming. That also had Easter eggs in it. Tell us about like your designing process when it comes to making the trailers, because you even hit code that one of the players obsessively went through to figure out what the code was to find more hints, where I was like, this is just a cool video. I just want to keep looking at my cool character.
I'm a beginner animator. I've only started delving into 2D animation in the past year. So one of the things I wanted to do was challenge myself in animation, but also creating these animatic trailers basically for some of the major scenes from the campaign, and also to tease what will happen in the future. And also kind of taking a note of Gravity Falls, that cartoon, sneaking in little codes and hints into the trailer was, the players that love solving puzzles and codes eat that kind of stuff up, because one of them even decoded the whole binary code that I had written on one of the screens. Okay, Jared, I'll tell you right now, I forgot that I had written a code in that scene, and thank God it didn't actually mean something, because I'm glad that it actually did mean something, because I was like, oh shoot, I forgot that I actually snuck a code here.
Because the art really drew me in, because I designed my whole prom outfit based on the art you had done for her, and that was really early art in the beginning.
It was prom fun.
Prom was so much
we all got dressed up. We took Polaroid photos. I had them all sign a yearbook in the voice of their character.
In the end, D&D is like a fun memory for all of us, and like that's one of my like favorite things to remember is like, oh, we literally had. I didn't go to my actual prom, so I went to a real prom with you guys, and we had a bunch of. My other favorite part that you did was that during these like very social scenes, so it's not a lot of combat. For some players that are really into combat, it's weird to be stuck in social. You gave us challenges. To like sneak in for social interaction. Though I was the downer at the party, but like some people had some fun stuff. Like there was supposed to be an intimate moment for Nerd, who had to teach, I think, the band geek to cook.
So twice in the campaign, I basically wrote down role play challenges, and that they each had to take a sheet, like take a slip of paper, and then do their role play challenge. And at the end, whoever won and did the best role play got a DM inspiration and a re-roll of D20. So one of them was like, give a compliment to one of the characters, or go dance with one of the characters. And little things like that are ways that you can artificially, as a DM, create a little bit of character building and role play. I think as a player, you can always, at any moment during the campaigns that you play with, you can do these kind of things on your own, like offer a compliment to a character, or maybe tease another character, or joke around with another character. This was just my way of challenging each of them with like basically roleplay roulette.
I do remember specifically with Jarin, there was he had to give my character a compliment. My character's the mean person.
Which that's even more challenging, right?
So like try to get them to say they like you or something, or be like, oh, you're a nice person, where all she did was insult her. Another thing was like, this was a very big celebration of childhood. But we had some very dark moments. Andy, the main NPC, was dying of cancer, and we had to help decide if she was going to die or not. Because prom was actually kind of her funeral. It was her goodbye send. How did you balance like the whimsy and the fun with some of these darker themes? Because all of us at the table were adults. So how did you balance out the light versus the darkness here?
I think one of those things was tonally was embracing that this was a story that really is really silly because it has androids and dinosaurs and barbarians, but it was in a way celebrating childhood, but also reconciling with the true darkness of the world, which I feel like was very on brand for 80s media. And I knew in the end that you guys will rescue her from this world and that she will still live. And that your guys' actions and friendship will be what basically saved her and saved her life. And just so you know, Andy still lives. We're going to do a West Marches campaign with multiple stories.
We'll
do this next year. So she still lives. All your characters still lived. But I wanted you guys, it really fit that overall theme of this 80s story of friendship is magic, friendship can defeat all evil, by basically you guys becoming friends with each other and becoming friends with Andy is what ultimately helped you guys defeat the monster and save the day.
It was so well done. We all had so much fun throughout it. Now, before we sign off, what was your favorite moments either outside or inside the campaign? Because outside we did a lot of fun stuff too as a group.
Right. I think it's the little friendships that I saw developing between some of the player characters, like your goth character bullying the nerd, but getting a little bit nicer to him, and then one of the bullies getting along with the band kids. So the little player interactions that show that they were really developing in their friendship, even though these guys are all friends in real life. They're
we were almost very close with each other.
Playing Haggle, playing a Kelpie, because I think Kelpie really played into Kelpie is basically this water horse that lures players and adventurers into the water to drown them. And basically, I was playing with the idea in the Never-Ending Story, Artax, that there's this white horse in the water that's drowning, and then some of the players, of course, were like, "No, we have to save it." Your character, who
I said, "Hell
was
no!"
like, "No, no, this is a trap."
That's suspicious.
And then I think the moment I remember is as the horse, I was playing the horse, I just looked at you like. And then you noticed that, and we're like, the horse just looked at me.
The horse just looked at me like it knew I just called it out. I was like, guys, don't do it. And then I think me and the nerd both went, don't do it. And they were like, no, we're heroes. And they jumped in, and the horse tried to drown them. We're like, see, don't do it.
Yeah.
Which I think was such a fun moment. Yeah. I personally enjoyed definitely the character interactions, because we had like little cliques in the group, but then had to like grow outside of each other.
Right. Along
with just saying good, like the Andy scene, like saying goodbye and seeing her grow finally, and we helped save her.
Yeah.
And then you also have the end of any 80s like high school movie where it's like, where are they now?
Yeah.
And we had that
writing little epilogues to where these kids are post high school, maybe college, maybe careers. That was really fun to write.
Yeah, it was an amazing campaign. Thank you so much for including me in it.
Of course, yeah, and tune in for more, because I'm sure we'll talk when we later play in the West Marches campaign for this story. It's good. I plan to do a sequel story that will be set in 1990s.
Oh, no, we went from the 80s to the 90s?
Yeah.
I'm so excited. With that, thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.